being a YouTube as well.
Hello, everybody. Like we were not prepared to go live right there.
No.
Oops.
Hello.
So we are gathered here today to discuss for the second to last time to discuss a book. Well, I don't know where I've put it. This is really...
Imagine a digital copy just appearing here.
Yeah.
There we go. To discuss Fool's Quest, and I think we had a discussion the other day. Is that final? Do you guys remember what we discussed the other day? That wasn't about what we're doing next. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys know if you want to start collecting the books that we are 100% doing the, what's it called again? What's the full series called? First Law. That one. The First Law series by Joe Abercrombie starting in January 2023. So we have a while to go, but we are 100% decided that is what we're going to be moving on to next. So feel free.
Have the entire trilogy.
Oh my god, look at you! I only have 1 and 3. I need 2.
Same.
What kind of ordering?
No, because I got 1 intentionally because I had a feeling we were going to do it, and then number 3 I found in a charity shop for 50p. So
Charity shop, yeah, third one.
So yeah, that will be the next one. We are only starting in January, but I just thought I'd let you guys know, and I will mention it again for the final live show. But just if anyone wants to be prepared. But yeah, I'm Becca. Hello. Do we need to introduce ourselves? I feel really unprepared today.
I know, it's kind of like, wow. But I mean, it's the second to last one. I'm sure everyone here knows who we are by now.
You would assume. So we'll start off then with the normal, just like non-spoilery thoughts and rating. Zaf, do you want to start?
Okay, so I gave this book a 4-star because I remember I had a Goodreads account and I should probably put books there. It's like, again, one day you're just going to see me add like a ton of books that I've been reading or have read and just be like, when? But yes, I gave it a 4-star. I feel like I'm residually seeing how I feel, but because like the first book in this series, I was just finding it so fucking annoying. And I was just like, okay, this one's okay. I kind of like this direction, but I felt like I was enjoying everyone else but Fitz. But this book, without spoiling, there was this one moment which really, really hit me in the feels, and I feel like other people also felt that too. And that for me was like, that's a 5-star moment right there. Like I will go back and read that bit over and over again because it's like, even like when I was trying to remember what happened and everything, I like went back to that part and I was like, it made the pain of like how many books we've been through with him somewhat worth it. So yeah.
I feel that. Ashley?
I rated it 4 stars. I felt the length of this one. I was bored by B's chapters after a while because they were very samey. I found this one interesting because it almost seemed like the structure that I would expect from Hobb was like shuffled around a bit, because where we've kind of fallen into a habit of having journeying through the first 300, stuff kind of going down, and then like all of the dramatic emotional stuff towards the end. In this one, we had like emotional stuff at the beginning, then 300 pages of journeying, and then everything kicking off. So I found that quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, generally, it's kind of hard to review Hobb unless there is like something drastically different at this point, because I'm just like, she's still amazing.
I feel that. Cody?
5 stars, hit me in the feels a lot of times. I'm also loving how everything is coming together, how she's going to tie up all these ends by the end. I'm very, very impressed with how she's managed to do it, because there's a lot. And I'm just still holding out. I can't tell you yet because spoilers, but I'm still holding out for a certain thing to happen. And yeah, I just can't critique it. It's Hobb, and she's giving me feels. So 5 stars for me.
I'm dithering between a 4 and a 5. I have given it 5 mainly because if we didn't have a live show, I wouldn't have picked this book up right now because I'm just not in the mood to like have a slow pace, like really long adult fantasy. So I kind of gave it the benefit of the doubt. Because like Ashley said, like I felt the length of this book. Like I just, oh my God, I've been reading it for the last 9 days and I could not for the life of me read more than 70 pages a day. Like, and I felt like I could really feel every single page. But on the flip side of that, why?
I really feel like that was a like transition into some like really emotive stuff there.
Literally, she got her own background music right there.
I have no idea why that started playing.
Was that Middle of the Night song? What song was that? What was that?
It was like a band that has the band is called the Front Bottoms. And I can't remember what that is. It Twin Size Mattress, which is the most popular song. But anyway, what I was saying, I really felt the emotional moments in this one. It felt kind of like an homage to the original trilogy, and also like very much closing off a lot of stuff. There was a lot of emotional moments. It felt kind of, I don't want to say it felt fan servicey, but very much like we got a lot of what we've always wanted. But I wouldn't say it's fan service because it wasn't like gratuitous. But yeah, the pacing really hit me. I'm interested. I'm really excited because like Cody said, the wrapping up of everything. Oh, that was like when I could feel everything coming together. I'm just like, I hope that the last book like really does bring everything together, but it really feels like it. And it's wild that she kind of just like whipped it out like in this book and was like, yeah, look, everything's gonna come together. I'm excited.
I was reading the last like, well, I read the last 200 pages in one go, as I typically do with Hob, and I think it got to about, because I finished it at 2 a.m, so I think we were clocking on about 1 a.m, and I was just like, I don't know if there's just a lot happening or I'm just taking it all in. I was like, I feel like when it comes to like just before reading the last book, I'm going to have to reread the last 50 pages again just to make sure I've got it down.
I did think it's kind of interesting like how everyone's rating this like from a 4 to a 5, like even in the comments, like there's a lot of 4 stars, 4.5, 5 stars. And like I love this comment just because it's true. He's fucking stupid. But yeah, I think there's always that like cycle of Hob. And I feel like it works with her trilogies, but works with the books where it's like you go from a high, then a bit of a dip, and then it's high at the end again. And it's just like, okay. But I just feel like we know that we're near the end of the road for this old little motherfucker.
He still looks 35.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel it.
Oh yeah, to also just mention, we're not just ignoring Cass and not letting her in. The live show.
Cass has the flu, so she sadly cannot join us, but we'll be in the chat.
We're not just being like, well, let her in.
Yeah.
Oh, Cass thought this one was more of a high than the last one. He was very depressed for most of this. And then again, he's always depressed, isn't he, really? Well, yeah, we will
He doesn't know how to be happy.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. We will be moving on to spoilers now. So if there is, I think everyone's like fine. But if there is anyone here, pop back when you finished this one. But yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what to start. Oh, I do have a question. Actually, I'm bringing it right to the very end of the book. Is it Verity that pulled her out of the Skill River? Because I was rereading that thing over, you know, the italicized bit at the beginning of the very last chapter.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it Verity?
Ooh.
I read it like 4 times.
It could be.
Oh, Cass said 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it said was it for the wolf or something? Where is it? As the wolf did for my young, so I will do for his cub. I will protect you here. When you emerge, come to me. And then obviously she comes out of the stone near the, like in the marketplace, near where all of the dragons are. So I reckon she's going to go to Verity. But does this mean that Verity is going to come alive for B? How else is he going to protect her? What else is he going to do with her?
Yeah. I feel like a dumb bitch. I read that and thought it was Icefire.
I did think about that
Dragon, literally. Yeah.
because who was it? People used to travel through in the Skill River, and then they'd hear like dragons.
Mm.
So I thought it could be a dragon, but I was like, but there's no dragons that owe anything to Fitz apart from like
Yeah,
Icefire and
literally.
Tintaglia, but only in like a. That could work actually,
Yeah.
because I was thinking because it says for my like he did for my kids because
Yeah.
Tintaglia and Icefire wouldn't technically have children if it wasn't for Fitz.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Okay. Well, we can't control any of the comments, so I guess we'll just improvise.
There we go.
Me. Hi.
Bye, bitch.
Press the wrong button. Oops.
Yeah, I don't know if is there a point where anyone wants to start or anything you particularly want to talk about in this one? There's a lot.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I think it's funny that he keeps being a daddy to everyone. Like he literally finds more wayward children in this one to take up as his own.
The problem is that he's the worst because he doesn't want any of them, and I'm like, well, like comfort him actually because it feels like my own father, but like.
He even acknowledges at one point where he's like, I can't take on any more orphans.
Like, I don't want
He's like,
any.
oh, I want to do the right thing, but the right thing you don't want to do.
How
There
do we
was-
feel about the kids? I think they're precious, Perseverance and Ash.
Yeah,
Flashback.
yeah.
When I thought something happened to Per, my heart broke. And it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my age or something like that. Like, I used to have such an issue with kids. Like, oh my God, you're ruining my butt. But now I'm a bit older and I don't think I'm ready to have kids yet. But now I just find them so charming if they're well written. Like, if they're like, and don't get me wrong, they're allowed to be stupid and make mistakes. But like, I just find them so precious and I just want to look after all of them. And it's like with B especially, I'm like, this is my baby. Nothing can happen to her. And like, I feel this is like the end of Fitz's legacy and it's going to be like, oh, now B is, you know? So I was just like, I just feel even more like I want to protect her. And I really, really, really love how, yeah, like I love her. He's just baby.
Oh, Rhiannon loves Per but doesn't like the rest of them.
I mean, Lan is a bit of a tool.
I'm not really feeling Nettle, but not Nettle. B.
No, not my baby anymore.
It's B I don't like. It's not that I don't like her. I think it is just because I was kind of sick of her chapters in this one. I'm just like, you're gonna have to like win me back to her being interesting because I'm just kind of like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling her as much in this one either. But I just didn't really like the narrative of her perspective, just in terms of like where it was going and what was happening with her. It was like one of the less interesting aspects to me.
One thing when it comes to me, Fitz and the Fool having a baby together.
Yeah.
And that like a moment of realization where Fitz is like, no, and he's just like, yes.
And then, yeah,
He's like, actually.
This was like, I think I'd remember.
That was great.
That entire thing. And like his
what did
ended on behalf of like the Molly situation for the longest. It's just like, no, I can't have a son with you.
what did the Fool say? He said we've been together as everyone can be together or something. And Fitz was like, I would remember. I'm sure I would remember.
I like the conversation was starting to move on to Ash and Spark, and she was literally she was literally a lovely character. I love Ash Spark Ash. Ash. I also feel like it's nice that because we're going into this like new generation, it's nice that we have like a full kind of equivalent character who's like significantly younger coming in. We haven't really seen anyone else like them.
I'm wondering if they, I don't know if they are related to anybody in any aspect or like element. Maybe not.
Could be Jade's kid. Jade has apparently so many kids now.
The way he's like, oh my God, no, Lantern Spark, not Spark Shine.
Oh God, yeah. I forgot about that.
Well, we knew, but we kept going like, oh no, they can't both be shades because like this would be
Yeah.
weird. It's like, no, they are. They really, really are.
From different mums. Shade was out here getting around, like
Mhm.
I do like that it did address though, because we said like if it's shared, like the age gap is like wild because they said she was like a teenager when she went to was it the Winterfest thing where she was apparently conceived? I can't remember. But like he said like she wasn't as young as everyone said, and she wasn't innocent, like she knew what she was doing.
Mm.
Cass just kept thinking that we were right about being the fool because we called it.
Yeah.
Little miffed on Fitz's behalf that the fool was still ready to make a claim on B.
Yeah.
I feel that. Shade is a silver daddy.
Oh my god.
So the bit that everyone got emotional at is when, Fitz got to become prince, right? Officially. That was
I cried.
and what's his face? He just like does it right in front of him, like
Good.
without thinking. Fucking duality. What was his name?
Duality.
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Duality. That plot twist that we haven't seen coming yet.
Yeah, dutiful. He very dutifully, duted his job and was like, "Yo, everyone, look at this guy." And then it was just like, I think what hit hard about that entire line, it was like, one, it was a nice thing for him to say that and do that in front of everyone. There was another thing because in the lines around it, Fitz had said that he looked up and he saw like King Verity and another one, like as he felt like he was looking at them as he was looking up, and I was just like,
Yeah. And Verity's letter as well, and the steel crown.
Mm-hmm. What else? There's a tab that I've got in something else as well, and I can't remember what the other
thing in that as well, like it wasn't just the fact that it happened for me, but oh my god, the way that all the way through, Fitz was just like, I wish the fool could see this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made Starling change her song to include the full
Yeah.
in it, which was really nice.
Oh, the recognition from the guards as well, the ones who'd known him when he was like a kid. That was great. The bit that I actually cried at was much later in the book, and because I've read like 120 pages of it today, I can't remember at which point it was. But I'm pretty sure it was, and because he goes around saying goodbye to everyone, doesn't he? So I can't remember which one it was in particular, but I think it was Shade who said that he loved him.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me cry. Like I started sobbing. It was like, no.
I will say though, one thing that made me laugh, and like I noted it in the book, there's one point where everyone's like, no, you can't go do this, and he's just like, lols, try and stop me. And he tries sneaking away from everyone to go and find B, and he just it's almost like the Fellowship is trying to follow him. Because it's like just like random kids popping up everywhere, just like, myself, and he's just like, go away.
And Riddle as well. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody put in the Discord that Perseverance is Samwise Gamgee.
Oh my god, yeah.
I was literally just like, it's the Fellowship, and then like the more they popped up, I was just like, and this one's this character. Oh, I made me laugh.
As if Fitz can now skill heal as well, like at the end with all the Elderlings.
I wonder why. I wonder what it is that's making that connection. Like, because he has no control over it. If somebody touches him, he heals them. Is it the closeness to the skill river?
I still think the Elderling magic has some obvious connection to the dragons, and like that's how they have the skill. Like,
I just wonder, why is it so strong? Because, like we said, the Rainwild traders, not the Rainwild, the Bingtown. No, it is the Rainwilds. They have like all the negative effects of being like a dragon, but without a dragon to shape them, so they're more like birth defects. But like his magic seems, especially with Bookkeep being built over a Elderling ruin, it's like hereditary from Elderlings, but it's not really getting weaker because we've just had like Shine is really strong with the skill. So like, why is it not like dwindling away to nothing? I mean, there is a lot less people with it, but like they're still doing all right. And that's the only thing that they've got. Like, they don't have any negative effects aside from just struggling with the skill in general.
I did wonder if the dragon's coming back. I don't know if it'd work in terms of timeline, so I just can't quite get it right in my head. But if the dragon's coming back meant stronger skill users, because I feel like everyone of this generation, like from the kids down, are just like, and this person has a really strong skill talent, and this person is really strong in the skill, and this person is, and I'm like, are they all really strong in the skill?
It does still make me wonder about Thick as well. Like, I'm sure there's some Farseer like link there. Because he's like the strongest with it.
Oh, something else that made me tear up was when Shade said, "Oh my boy, the best mistake chivalry ever made was you." And also when he says about Lan and why they don't like each other, he's like, "Well, who was my boy before he was?"
Yeah.
I can't.
Adorable.
One thing is Becca's daddy issues with Shade.
Just generally have daddy issues. If I could pick a daddy of all the ones that Fitz has, it would probably be Burrich.
I would have said that, but then he fucked his girl. So I don't.
Oh,
I can never get over that. I feel like people conveniently forget that part.
Oh shit! Yeah, I did forget about that.
They were in the same pussy. I'm sorry.
Because I did think about that when I was reading this book, actually, because Burrich is Fitz's dad. So Burrich's sons are Fitz's brothers, but they're also Fitz's kids because he marries their mother.
Essentially.
So then when you word things like that, then Lantern Shine, not that much of a big deal, really.
Just a bit of accidental incest going on. But
Oh, Jessica said Thick's mom is older, so maybe he's Shrewd, which would make him Shade's brother.
Interesting.
We don't know. Is there no more brothers apart from Shrewd and Shade? Is that it?
This was the two.
yeah, I think that's it.
They did mention a cousin from the first trilogy in this book that I completely forgot about. The Regal burned through his mind apparently during the wedding between Catrican and Verity in the Mountain Kingdom, and I was like, I forgot that you existed.
Yeah. It's like, who?
Honestly, I can't. I'm just trying to keep track of all the kids. I'm just stuck there. Like, why is there so many?
Deadass collecting them more like Pokemon, man. What the fuck? I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the things that also kind of not annoyed me. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked all the kids and stuff like that. No, I didn't. But like, I like the charm of children. But there's too many names. The series already has too many names, and now you're just giving me all these little Rugrats. Were you pregnant at this time, Hobbit? Like,
every time it mentions one of like Nettle's siblings that isn't one of the ones that's in the story, I'm like, wait. Like, I need to really work out who they are. Because it's like,
we do need a, you know, I agree with this. We need a family tree in the front of each book.
Yeah.
But oh my god, that reminds me actually, because of the front of the book, there's no map of the realm of the Eldlings unless you Google it. There isn't a map in the book, and I was like, I thought, because if you Google it, you can find one. And I was like, why isn't there one in the book? And then Shade has the map that he's made, and I'm like, oh my god, it makes sense now. There's no map in the book because they've been building the map as the series goes on.
Yeah.
And I also thought in this, because like Fitz is 60 now, so it's the equivalent of him, like, say he lives in 2022, it's like we were reading from the 70s, and I was like, so much has changed. But then if you think about reality, like, so much has changed like since the 70s. Which is wild. I don't think I've ever read a book this, like a series this long. I definitely haven't. I don't think.
I think this is the longest.
I'm excited. I'm scared. I don't want to read the last one.
I don't want to read the last one. I don't want to say goodbye to these characters.
Wait, Cody, haven't you already read it?
No. I'd only read the first trilogy, so I like reread
the
Farseer one, but yeah. I don't want it to end.
It's like I want it to, but I hope it's like genuinely bittersweet, not like Game of Thrones bittersweet, but like actually bittersweet. Like, give me pain, but let it be like contenting pain.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've already had the happy phase where he's like with the woman he loves and raising a child and all this other fucking bullshit. We've already had that. Okay, we know that's not what's gonna happen. It's not gonna end happy for him, and that's fine. Just hurt me in the right way.
Mm.
It's sad because like the way he's been talking at the end of this, he's like definitely given up as well because he's like, my kid's dead, my wife's dead. Like, what's the point?
The way that he almost jumped in this one, like there was a moment where he almost committed suicide.
There's multiple points actually because he nearly threw himself out the train near the end as well.
But it's interesting because I think this one, I know before I've like raved about the mental health rep and whatever, and I've always found it quite interesting that everybody just kind of accepts that Fitz is depressed because, you know, they're just like, he's just like that sometimes. He gets sad a lot. In this one, we have the scene where they come out with the skill pillars, and it's like they've been in there for a day, and he can't contain himself, his emotions, and everybody's really thrown by it because he's so overwhelmingly sad all the time, and everyone's just like, "You take that back, please." And it's like they all realize just how much he feels.
Because he's very like isolated as well. Like he doesn't talk to anyone, and still at this point, it's kind of sad for the people around him actually, because he doesn't think people care about him, so he just doesn't show anybody else that he cares. And like, I understand what I think it's a little bit unfair that Nettle's mad at him for like abandoning her. But then at the same time, like I kind of get where she's coming from, where like he just doesn't show any affection. So like from her perspective, like him being her father means nothing because he's not.
Yeah, like I don't want to say groomed because it's not grooming in that kind of way, but in a sense, like from a being a young child, he was kind of groomed in this very toxic, horrible environment. Like has to hide his identity, and then on top of that, he's always being made to feel like shit, and then he's like being bullied, like shit teacher, etc., etc. Almost died like a bajillion times, and that just carries on happening in his life. So it's like I understand that aspect, and it's also like really odd because it's like the situations where he is fully honest with people about his feelings before this book was like when they weren't people. Like I feel that he felt, because there was no, for example, barriers between him and like the wolf and stuff, he was able to just feel things and just like say what he was genuinely thinking or feeling and stuff like that, because in every other situation with Shade, Burrick, whatever the fuck, there was a level of fear, there was a level of wanting approval and stuff like that. It wasn't just him. So like the fact that it took him to like 60 to finally get to a stage where he feels like he can show his feelings in front of other people, even though that was obviously a very specific kind of situation, it's really fucking sad.
Yeah.
I was wondering,
and a lot of loss as well. I mean, there was the Fool, Molly, and the Wolf, basically, before he'd lost all of them. Yeah.
Valid point was made.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well, because kind of the only time he actually acts on his feelings, he gets told not to.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, sit back down, you're not meant to do that. You need to see it in this one with him wanting to go after B. And everyone's just like, maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah. The bit that I really liked was when he had the elderling tea and then he felt guilty about it afterwards because he just cared about himself in that moment. And the Fool's like, no, I gave you that for a reason. Like, it's okay not to put everybody else first. It's okay to put yourself first sometimes. And it's really throws him. Shows.
Yeah,
it's like, I think that's also a thing with people who suffer. It's like no matter how inconveniencing it can be for them, sometimes they just do prioritize making sure other people are okay, or like stuff like that. But also I feel like maybe because of how he was raised, he must always have this air of, am I worth this? Like, am I worthy of being healed? Do I deserve this kind of punishment, etc., etc.? And it's so fucking sad because it's like, what's he actually ever done wrong? Nothing. Like, he didn't fucking make sure he fucked some random bird. Like, he didn't ask for any of this. A baby.
I think in terms of Fitz as well, is that aside from all of the abandonment and trauma and stuff, there's also an element of toxic masculinity in the father figures he has. Because like he has had multiple strong father figures, but they're like Burrich shows even less emotion than Fitz ever did, and he was only ever really vocal about his emotions just before he died. So Fitz never knew. Like Fitz felt like a burden to everyone because he knew, like he was abandoned, obviously really young. Chivalry just upped and left, and then everyone else kind of not that. I think he kind of just assumed he was a burden as opposed to people making him feel that way because it was like these aren't my parents, so they must be looking after me because they feel like they have to. So Burrich is doing it for chivalry. Verity's doing it because he feels sorry for him. Shrewd's doing it because he's useful. Shade's doing it because he's training him. Like it's never like a genuine connection in his.
And like, yeah, like they all grew to love him, but it's like my sister says this a lot, especially when we talk about conversations about immigration. And I know this is not immigration, but hear me out. It's like she says that we were picked up like bits of luggage and moved into this country, and that's how I feel he felt, and that's why I feel like I did like kind of sympathize with his plight, like during the earlier books and stuff like that, because it felt like he was just being pushed around into all these different agendas and stuff like that. He had no voice, he had no choice of his own, and the one choice he did make for himself was so demonized by Burrich.
Yeah.
Becca's cat probably shut on the ground, but okay, carry on.
No, as well, because we almost see him claim Bookkeep again as his home, because for a while he's been like, no, it's Withywood's, like that's what I've wanted this entire time. I don't want to be here. And then the instant he returns to Bookkeep, it's just like, no, actually, this is home.
I feel like it's a lot about childhood nostalgia as well, because like the place that I have sentimental attachment to the place where I grew up, even though like my childhood wasn't especially nice at all. So like it was nice as a reader to revisit that with him, especially with things like the guard room and how he, even in other books in the Tawny Man trilogy, he always like feels a type of way about the guard room because he spent so much time there. And I feel like in terms of us being in the last trilogy now, it feels like home to us in a way because it reminds us, like this book reminded me so much of the first trilogy, which isn't Live Ship Traders is still my favorite, but in terms of Fitz, that is definitely my favorite trilogy so far, with this possibly pushing it out depending on how it ends.
Do I actually have a question in terms of what do you guys feel towards Fitz's attitude of claiming the Prince title for himself? Because I feel like there was definitely an underlying bitterness, not from having to take the title, but from almost having to admit that that's what he wanted all along. Because the way that he acted upon it, he very quickly switched to being like, I'm the prince, you do that, I'm Fitz, like Prince Fitz, chivalry. Like he very quickly just started snapping at people almost and being like, get in line. When all along he's kind of just been like, no, I don't want that. And I don't think it is, like I said, I don't think it's bitterness towards having to accept it. I think it's more a case of realizing that that's actually what he wanted all along. Yeah,
I don't think he let himself ever hope for it, because whenever there was any point of getting to where he would be accepted in any way, something would always go wrong. So he wouldn't let himself hope for it. And also I kind of had this moment of like, yes, bitch, claim your power, make them do shit for you. You're like the reason this whole thing is even a thing. Like, felt nice.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because I can't remember who it was. Was it Dutiful who said to him something about being the prince? And he's like, oh, like I have to act like the prince. And he's like, no, you are the prince. Like this is who you've always been. Like you just need to like live it. It's not like you're acting like anything. Like this is your reality. You are the prince. And I feel like it is a lot of he talks a lot throughout the entire, like all of his books, apart from maybe like when he's a kid, about how he's different people to different people. So like he struggles to like, who is Fitz at the end? Like who actually is he? Because he never has like a sense of wholeness about him, and he never regards himself as like
Mm.
with like all of these multiple parts. It's like, oh, today I'm the assassin, today I'm a father, today
Mhm.
I'm the prince.
Mhm. It's always felt to me like he's truest to himself when he was with Night Eyes.
Mm,
He's even more heartbroken about the loss, you know?
makes sense.
Yeah.
He even has that like moment of realization himself though when he's thinking about Ketchikan and how she's always still maintained the like mountain in her.
Mm.
And he even says like maybe I can just establish my own, like this is who I am as Prince, rather than like having to change everything entirely to fit everything. I still have to laugh at the fact that he just despises any fancy shoes.
Yeah.
He really just don't like fancy shoes.
He's like a fucking old man about that kind of shit. But what I was also gonna say was like, oh my god. Oh, he's reclaiming what was basically taken from him. That, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't his choice, obviously, to be born, but also like Chivalry's actions denied him of what could have been his. And so it's just so satisfying to see him in that position, which, like, if things had gone a different way, he would have been legitimate, this, that, or the other. If Chivalry was actually around, would he have actually been a proper father figure and stuff like that? I always wonder about those what ifs, and I feel like this kind of fulfilled that what if scenario.
It's interesting though, because it wasn't actually really Chivalry ultimately made many bad decisions, but it was actually Patience who outright denied him, because the reason why Chivalry had to leave is because of Patience, and like he could have chosen to stay, but it was Patience who said absolutely fucking not. And if Chivalry had stayed, then he would have had a position in court similarly to how like Vigilant had.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that his family like ended up hating him because of like various things, but like he would have been just like a known bastard. But like he wouldn't have been raised by the guy in the stables. He wouldn't necessarily have been trained to be the assassin, because it wouldn't have been such a terrible thing if Chivalry was there to protect him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it was Patience, but obviously we've had a chance to get to know Patience since then.
Mm-hmm.
And that she regrets it, and now she sees him as the child that she should have had.
Mm-hmm.
And like he is her son in her eyes. But ironically, it was obviously Chivalry made a lot of bad decisions, but it was Patience who made Chivalry leave because he chose her over Fitz.
Chivalry's still just dick, man. This one, like in regarding Night Eyes, the dog, the horse.
Fleeta.
Fleeta, yeah.
Yes, that.
Also, Motley was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, the bird, yeah.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that we had the scene with Motley just shouting for Chivalry in the square and everybody being like, it's the bastard, oh my god, he's come back in bird form, and like he had the realization that, you know, if he did come back miraculously, then no one's going to accept him, and then literally like the scene after was him being accepted by the court.
Yeah.
Because of the song that What's Her Face sung. And I don't know, it almost seemed like a weird commentary on the media and how that like vastly changes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the whole story about Motley as well. Like, I don't know, it felt kind of like a metaphor for Fitz's story, in the sense of like having to blend in into something you're not and hide something that makes you unique.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I find interesting about Motley is that I wonder if Motley is linked to the Fool now, obviously, and being the Fool's kind of companion, but Motley just means like a jester's clothing. It doesn't mean necessarily like a specific color, but Motley is black and white, and the Fool always wore black and white as his jester's colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, is this going to be more significant later on, like to the reason like why?
There's something with that bird, because that bird can understand shit. And I'm like, how?
That bird's really creepy because like Fitz can't sense any wit there necessarily, like any like strong like sense of the bird, but the bird like knows stuff.
It's also just on the cover, as is the dragon blood that was in the vial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Cassie just said, are we curious why Fitz hasn't been able to feel Night Eyes towards the end of the book? I assume that he'd gone with B. But I don't understand how that's like how he can have just disappeared. Yeah, Night Eyes is also part of Beast Conception. And that's why the triptych is a thing, because all three of them make up the whole.
Oh my god, it's like Mamma Mia. They're all the father.
Oh yeah. Didn't even notice.
Yeah, because when I started this book, I'm pretty sure in my vlog I was just like, I want to know what this potion bottle is on the thing, and then it was just like, Rosemary pulls out this red vial of something with silver strands in it, and I was just like, hey.
Roll credit.
Rosemary. And Fitz being an idiot yet again. Like, that thing that Shade said was so obvious. Like, literally, this file has too much rosemary in it. I'm like, what are you not getting here?
How is Fitz so dumb after all these years of like riddles and everything from the Fool, and he's not picking up on these things?
Yeah,
So
it was
funny.
pretty obvious as well. I don't know what the deal is with Rosemary, because like, is she actually working against them like Fitz always suspected her of? Because like every time he saw her for like 5 books, he was like, I don't like her.
Yeah, he's never
all.
trusted her.
But is she just like looking for more of a standing in court by coming out of the shadows and being more of like a not, I don't want to, what would her official position be if she wasn't like an assassin hiding in the shadows? She knows a lot of herbs and stuff, so maybe she'd be like a healer or like a apothecary kind of.
Isn't this is like a maybe separate point, but isn't rosemary a demon repellent? Like as a plant?
Don't know.
I'm gonna Google this. Carry on.
I think that's sage.
I know sage definitely is.
Yeah.
Like, so does she just want a better position for herself in court, or is she like actively evil? Because like there's so many things, like we found out that Jack is actually Shade's informant. Wild, which was very, very subtle as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that was revealed. I feel that Marley, because Marley says Rosemary's sus and I've been suspicious of her the whole time, but she was a kid when she was working for Regal. She was a literal child.
Yeah.
But then it's like, if that's the influence you had from such a young age, you're probably going to still have a little bit of that somewhere.
But the whole point of her when she was a child is that she had not, like, she was ignored. Like, she was just so irrelevant. And, like, if someone tells you to, if a prince comes up to you and he's like, oh, just, like, let me know if they say anything, you're just going to do it. You're not going to think about the political ramifications of what you're doing. Oh, is she part of the servants too? Is she a spy for them?
Playing the long game, maybe.
But surely, like, Fitz could still be able to hear her. Like, I'm pretty, like, how he had that woman that he was seeing, and she had cats, and the cat would just say, like, words to him, like, coming up.
Coming up. I want fish.
Yeah.
Also the cat that was in with Willy Woods.
Yeah,
well,
like
he was hating on cats in this book. He was
Yeah.
like, never shut the fuck up. Like, like, why? That's what I mean, though, Anna. She won't be the assassin anymore. But is that all she wants? Just like to get out of the shadows and be like a recognized member of court? Is it just ambition, or is there actually something else going on there? Okay, so Motley just likes humans. The way Webb comes in, it's like, do you want a pet bird? Not whispered or anything, just a pet bird.
I'm gonna say that seems a bit shifty.
I've been wanting them to bond for ages, so it's like kind of obvious with it.
But he's like,
Can
oh,
someone? Sorry, I was like,
as well, and he's like, oh, like she'll get bullied, and I'm like, you could just literally go out and find a mouse in the garden and be like, do you want this pet? Because otherwise it's gonna die. Like, just keep doing this.
do you like? This is such a stretch, but like, do you think it could be a situation which was similar to when Fitz died, and then he went into wolf form, and then he got out of wolf form? But like during that phase, when he was essentially one in another physical form, do you think that could actually be detected that same way?
That is mentioned in the second trilogy. I think it's the first book, but then like the whole plot of the first book just disappears, doesn't it? Of the second trilogy with all of the old blood. And they said that like some people do that, like when the humans die in, they just go into the body of the animal and live like that, but it's like very much frowned upon.
Yeah.
But I don't know who it could be and why it would be relevant. Because I feel like if that bird is a person, then it has to be relevant who the person is.
I swear to God, if Regal's back, I'm
Oh
gonna
my god.
throw everything out the window.
Can you imagine?
What if it's his dad? He's like, surprise! Your dad's back. We hadn't heard anything of him this entire time because he's a bird.
The way I'd yeet that bird and fucking thwack it, it's not even funny. Like, this is your fault, you stupid motherfucker. Like, we're saving your ass from getting bullied. You deserve to be bullied after what you did.
Yeah, I don't know who it could be.
No.
Good point. He'd have double vision with that deer.
He is like the dumbest of all the dumb bitches, though. Like the way that it took 300 pages for him to even maybe think that B could be a prophet. And then everyone was like, oh my god, she's a prophet. And I'm like, no shit. But it was just like doing my head in how it kept being like, oh, well, why would they take her? What would they want? Like, maybe it's because of this. And they'd spend like 30 pages being like, oh, it's probably because of this. And I'm like,
It's the
Like,
way
they dead ass made her look albino after, especially we had this whole drama with this bitch called the Woman in White or whatever. Carry on, Ashley.
It's because the dumb bitch moment with Fitz, where it's like every single time he's spoken to the fool up until that point, the fool's being like, and I touched my son for a split second, and then he's like, yeah, and then I stabbed you because you were touching my daughter, and I'm like,
Yeah. It's tiresome.
oh, it took a.
I want to know what the different, like with the prophecy being the son, but be actually being a girl. I wonder if there's actually going to be an explanation for that, or whether it's just like the gender fluidity of the whites, like with the fool.
Seems so to me.
Like, a lot of languages don't necessarily have gendered pronouns, but they just stick to the masculine as a baseline. Like, I'm pretty sure in like Mandarin they don't have gendered pronouns either. So maybe they just thought it was too simplistic to add in, you know.
It's interesting though because we had a whole lot of gender bending in this book.
That's why that's why I feel like it needs a clarification, because there is some gender fluidity, but like in a very kind of like more basic way. So it's like Robin Hobb is like introducing the idea of gender fluidity into the books, but not making it too out there, you know?
Yeah, because we had Ash and Spark as well. And then you've got obviously the fool being the fool, and then the fool turns into Amber just straight up.
Amber again, yeah.
Fifi's just said her other white's gender fluid. I have no idea. That's why I want the clarification. Like, I want to know if it's a thing with the whites or whether it's like a mistranslation. Oh, the fool has two sisters as well. Yeah, that was something we found out. I understand the prophets and servants using male as a default, but then like, why were they so shocked that it wasn't a son?
Yeah, because
didn't they
looking for a son?
Wasn't Beat also advised to like not let them know, or was that when they were getting kidnapped to like not let anyone know that she's a chick?
That was more because of the threat of the Chalcidian soldiers. I think because they thought that she was a boy, so Shun was just like, just leave. You're safer if they think you're a boy. Sorry, I got an email. Yes, that was the white, the pale woman, wasn't it? Is that one?
Yeah.
I always forget who the red ships are, but they're the raiders from the first one, aren't they? Yeah.
Wow, our memory. It's been too many years of this shit.
That's the point as well with the butterfly man and the confusion when it was a woman. And the way that Fitz was being really literal about that was annoying me, because he was like, well, this doesn't make sense because it was a woman, it wasn't a man. I still think the fool is the butterfly man. Because the cloak also belonged to him to start off with. He said he gave it to the messenger. And I immediately thought that the prophecy was about the Fool because of how brightly colored he is and like how extravagant he is all the time. The pale ass bitch.
When the Red Ship Raiders were a thing. Good times.
I know everything was so nice and calm and peaceful then.
Debatable, because I remember I kept complaining up until this series, really. Yeah, even the last book I was complaining. What is the reason? Why are we going through all of this? And everyone kept saying, "Oh, there's a reason. You feed it in the last trilogy." And I'm like, now when we're like one book left, I'm like,
I'm
I
thinking
feel like there's a reason.
it was introduced very like, I don't want to say like naturally, but like if we start with the people who were being forged, which was to do with like the skill stones and stuff, which is a very like basic watered down version of where we are now, where that stuff is still relevant. And it makes, I mean, not of every author can't have the luxury of like 15 books to tell a story, but like the way that the magic systems come in like very slowly, like piece by piece. It's only now when we've noticed that it's starting to come together that you can look back and notice how vast it is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that this is why, like, you can see the pacing of this kind of book and the writing style is very much from the same thing as like Patrick Rothfuss. They spend a very long time going into like all these kind of details, and I respect it. Sometimes that's the kind of book you want. I guess for me is like the main thing is like I need to know what, not necessarily my bad guy, but the main adversity and stuff like that. But I appreciate how realistically things like revelations are made, how different parts of the world we learn different things. And I can't think of any other series I've read which has been that expansive in that kind of way.
The only one I can think of similarly is Cosmere, because there are connections happening now, like the further you get into Stormlight. But even then, I mean, Hobb has just done this so well. I did want to ask, what did everyone think about Fitz and Malta coming together? What I want to happen so much is I want Fitz to see Paragon. Like every time they mentioned that he looks like they recognize him, or like, have I seen you before? I was like dying because I was like, it's Paragon though.
It has to happen, surely.
It has to happen.
Oh, Fitz and Paragon.
Yeah.
I agree. It's funny because they were talking around it in this, and they were like, "Oh, I felt like I'd already knew him when I met him."
Yeah,
it's just like what? Like,
I know. I was loving that so much. It's great.
Would he even, because of like the way that he views himself, would he even recognize Paragon if he saw him? You know, because he has such like a skewed vision like of himself.
It's had the same face for 35 years, went up so.
Yeah, I know, but does he own any mirrors or care about them? Because it does actually reference like he'll shave and he'll be like, "Oh, it's 6 months since I looked in a mirror."
Apart from when he keeps trying to cut his hair. It's just like, my hair ain't grown back yet. And I'm like, well, tough shit.
Do we know how long is between the last series and this one? Oh, well, actually, there's 10 years at the beginning, isn't there, of the first book in this trilogy, so it's at least 10 years. I was trying to work out from, like, when we went to Kelsingra to see if there was anybody specific, like, ages or stuff that anyone said. Everyone's got kids now, apparently. Loads of people and dragons that, like, we never heard of before.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out because there was one, like, little intro to one of the chapters where I was just like, is this talking about, I can't remember anyone's names. The end of the Dragon series, where that Duchess takes over from, well, she claims herself as Duchess.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, is this the scene that we're seeing? Like, as a news piece for the rest
when the dragons attacked, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was just like, oh, and she's claiming herself, but like they don't claim women as powerful in any way, shape, or form. And she's just like, well, me now. I really cannot remember anyone's names from that.
This is literally the issue I'm having right now, because I'm seeing these comments and it's like, I hear what you guys are saying, but I don't remember who that is.
anything.
I feel like I do. Like Malta, I remember loving her.
Yeah.
Althea, I liked, right? Like, wasn't she from like the Law series? Or am I
Althea-
thinking of someone else?
Althea's the one from Live Ships. The main gal in Live Ships.
Isn't that Malta?
No, Althea's Malta's aunt.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
See, like I need somebody free to be able to do this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna Google one just to be like helpful.
Oh yeah, we saw Rapscal come in as well, being all high and mighty.
Mm-hmm.
Cast and
But
Fire
if the Fool can not if the Fool, if Fitz can heal everyone in Calsingra, surely he can heal the Fool now. I mean, we don't know if he's actually alive after all that, but I'm hoping he can heal the Fool's sight eventually.
Maybe he can do it in Calzingra, but not.
Yeah. Also, I actually really want What's the Face to come back, Tintaglia, into the story at some point. She has to.
I feel like all the dragons are going to be wildly like offended by Fitz because he's like on their level, being able to heal.
I still just want to see Fitz on a dragon. Like this is what I've wanted this whole time. Is just to see him flying a dragon.
I highly doubt that they would have.
If Verity comes back via B.
Yeah.
And that's how Fitz ends up riding a dragon.
Could be.
Yes. I would very much like that.
The Fool might need more dragon changes first.
But with how intrinsically linked like the magic system and everything is in this book, it would be a shame for Hob to not have a dragon moment. Especially if already Malta's in the equation. And we already know where that leads to. So, and where B is.
Rapscal, I am a great General Hebe. I am Hebe. I love her.
I don't know. Hebe used to be nice, but she's also a bit of a dick since Rapscal's turned into a bit of a dick. So.
Like, what did they go through when we left them for a bit?
I know.
Puberty? We saw them go through puberty and they were fucking annoying.
Meantime, Mara and Tats had kids, so maybe jealous.
The way the kids just don't just revert back to the normal state if they're not constantly maintained by a dragon is wild.
But then I'm just like, how can Fitz have the same level of healing as a dragon? There must be some kind of like way that Silver is intrinsically linked to the Farseer line for that to be a thing.
I still want to know how, whether they are just descended from Elderlings or whether it was something else.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe they are descended from Elderlings who saw far into the future. Get it? Saw far into the future, and they were like, "Let's make a legacy."
I did catch something actually. Chade said that he used to scry as a kid.
Yes,
He's interesting.
He's shrewd. That is interesting, especially because he doesn't have the skill very strongly, does he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way that he goes back through the stone, steals Silver, gets chased by a dragon, and they're just like shit. And run back through.
What did you think would happen?
It's just like, Fool, you know how this works. You were there for the entire journey.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't trust you. Then literally do the thing that they don't trust you.
I don't know whether the cliffhanger at the end with them is going to resolve really easily, because how do they know that their Silver's fresh? Because he had it before and it was cut off his fingertips. And there's proof that he had it before because there's a handprint on Malta's neck. But I don't know. I can't remember if it fades with time.
The way that there's people just casually walking around with the full silver fingers.
Yeah, that's grim.
It's like, lovely.
They already sewed his fingers onto a glove.
Yeah.
Vile.
Grim.
Beth said, how can all these questions be answered in the last book? But I mean, this one was 700 pages and it felt like it lasted my entire life, and the next one's 900 or something. So
Is it?
1,000.
this could be I don't know if our editions are, but I'm pretty sure like on Goodreads it says 900 or something.
Wow.
Christ.
I did read this one quite quickly, though. I'm like surprised that like you weren't feeling it as much. I don't know if that's just me.
No,
I do agree that B's parts were repetitive, but I feel like when you kind of like in a lot of situations, like this felt like a lot happened in this book, and that's why it was easier to get through compared to
Yeah.
how it usually feels with Hobbs' first 2 books in a trilogy.
Mhm.
With me as well, I'm kind of just like, okay, I didn't like her chapters, but I know that they will be necessary because
Yeah.
if we hadn't had them, I wouldn't believe that her journey was as taxing as it is.
Mhm.
Like, I felt how taxing it is. I was there.
I wouldn't like. Did you guys know that she was lost in the skill pillar? Because I thought that they just moved on. So I thought that they'd gone through the pillar, came out at the other side at the marketplace, and then gone back into Kelsinger or somewhere. So then when Nettles people came through, they were like, "Oh yeah, there's no one here." But
Yeah, it's because
I
they
got
didn't find any tracks though, right? So it was like,
But they had the guy with them that disguises the things, so they were skill users who hadn't taken Elfbark, obviously, because they needed to travel through the stone. And then they were like, yeah, there's no one here. And it's like, how do you know, though? Because you know that guy is with him, and you know that he can hide people. So I was very confused as to why, like, it wasn't mentioned, like, oh, yeah, they've got that guy with them that can...
I think there was like a certain phrase that made me think like, oh yeah, they are actually still in the stone, just chilling. But I can't think of where it was.
I assumed lost because we didn't get any B chapters. I thought that was just keeping the suspense going, because I was like, oh, like we must be getting a B chapter soon, and then realizing that we didn't. But I was like, well, she's just obviously trying to
Make you anxious.
Yeah,
Make you want to read the next book.
because I obviously knew that B wasn't dead. Like that was something that I knew for sure. Eagle said, I knew because one of the dream journal entries mentioned a note in a river and emerging later. Yeah, I didn't. I need context a lot to understand things sometimes.
I think like that, especially a lot of her chapters were very prophetic. Obviously, sadly, it wasn't as romantic as our 2 previous male dudes sending each other their love notes and updates. But it's fine. Metaphorical trauma, that's cool.
Lola said, doesn't that fogging only work with people present? But if they were fogging, like they might have been there with a full camp and they'd never have known.
That's the thing. The second they discovered that they could, like warp memories, like instant. You can't trust anything that any account that was given, basically.
Yeah. Also, really cool skill. Like the first time we're seeing that, right? Someone being able to use the skill to fog people's minds like that, as well as that.
It's interesting because they're part of the servants, but like obviously they just have the skill. So like,
yeah, like how is it all connected? My brain.
The way that it was just like, yeah, I could do that, and they're all just like,
yeah,
I would. Just said I could. They now know how to.
she is definitely going to Clara's though, I think, because one of her dreams says something about bones and a bone gate, and that there's no escaping it. Like she has to go there.
Yeah. And the Fool said, when we find her, she'll be the one that says that she has to come with. So the Fool's already prophesied.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting because Molly said Fitz keeps having accidents because Thick makes him walk into things.
Yeah.
So that is kind of similar.
Mm.
So do you think he's doing it subconsciously or like fucking around with people?
What if Thick
Yeah.
just thinks he's being super smart and he's been putting on an act this entire time?
Yeah.
Would be that long con. Mm.
Oh, we did discover that new portal stones can be created.
Did we? I missed that.
Yeah, in a lot of the like, there was a lot of snippets about how they create them,
Mm.
and they're just like, but it's a very like taxing thing to do, and they get rewarded really good.
He also wrote in her journal, all he could dream, all he could fear, given to him in the space of a year.
Oh God.
Unless that's what's already happened, because Molly's died, the fool's come back, but he nearly killed him. Shade's on his deathbed. She's gone.
Mm.
Maybe that's this year. I hope it's this year.
Mm.
So he did also kind of have all he could dream of, kind of, because he got acknowledgement and
And the
legitimacy.
kid, he got the. Well, no, that wasn't this year. Never mind.
Well, what is the time gap between the first book and this one? The first book in this trilogy.
And this second book,
Yeah,
there isn't one, is there?
exactly. So that's why I think that would count. Like, the first two books are part of the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does this one start? What's the end of the first book? Oh.
This is a funny comment. I like this.
Well, Cash just said, was it actually Rapskull? Was it the Elderling that kept taking him over? The reason why he was being annoying.
Who? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Oh yeah.
I'm over these dragons.
Hmm.
They're nothing.
I've never read a book with dragons in where I've actually liked the dragons all that much.
Mm.
Valid points were made.
Interesting that Mara's got a kid now because, like, she didn't want to settle down or have kids or anything, did she? Yeah, the first half of the first book was like, I think it was about 12 years, maybe.
It's like, I love dragons because I'm biased and racist to anything that's not a dragon or a mythological creature. Basically, I hate human beings, including myself. But I do agree in the sense that, like, the whole point of having authority and power is that you can do something about it. If you're kind of useless, and I get why they were, but now it's just like, come on now.
I'm just kind of like, what are you doing then? Aren't you bored?
Yeah, like, what do you just want to be fucking looked after all day and just be sassy and mad at people for the sake of it? Like, what do you get from that?
But they're not even doing that because they've abandoned the humans again. So it's just like, okay, so what are you doing?
Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
It's on his beanbag chair.
He's down in your chair.
He's staring at me. I need him to stop.
Tibbs is also staring at me.
But yeah, I'm just puzzled about what the dragons are up to because, like,
Mm.
if they just want to be praised, then surely they should stick around the humans.
Yeah. I feel like there must be something else happening with the dragons that we're just not aware of yet.
Well, maybe they just don't care. Maybe they just exist because, like, they don't care about humans, so they're just doing whatever it is that they want to do, and then they don't really realize that they're being neglectful. But also, even if they are, they don't really care because humans are insignificant.
Mm. I agree that dragons are just giant cats with wings and venom.
They like
Yeah.
like being praised though and everything. So I presume if they were away somewhere, I presume they were just like making more dragons.
Yeah.
Look-
Also, it's just like I feel like with B having so many of these prophecies and stuff like that, maybe there's a Hello Cat, but there is like a something that the dragons can feel. Like I don't want to say convergence because every time I say convergence, it makes me think of The Witcher, but like this kind of magical gathering moment that B is heading towards, and obviously Fitz is also going there with the Fool in tow because he's trying to get to his fucking kid, and like maybe the dragons are there as well. Some crazy shit happening. Like I feel that there has to be some like as much as I appreciate the magic in this book, I really just want to have one proper, crazy, magical, insane, mind-boggling hurrah of like just magic shit happening. Like,
B touches the snout of a dragon and everything just fucking explodes. The world is healed.
like another fucking a portal opens up and like I don't know, like some fucking bunch of prophets come out and they're like, we're here to reclaim her, and then the dragons are like, no, we need her for some reason. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just making up bullshit right now, but yeah, just like something like an Avengers movie.
Apart from what Avengers are shit because that's the people from Kelsey Crew.
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Black Widow.
I was wondering if B was turning more white because she's going backwards. So like the Fool turned darker every time he progressed with his mission. But because she's been kidnapped, I wonder if she was going backwards from what she's supposed to, because now she's being forced onto the path by the servants, which isn't her path.
Maybe.
Yeah, because they made a big point about saying like you can't force it.
Mm.
It's like they'll find a way, but you can't force it. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. Although when her skin was peeling off, I was like, that's a bit grim.
It's always grim. I feel like you can feel like, because you've always been in a situation where you've got like an extreme amount of peely skin, whether it's like sunburn or something, and then imagining that all over your whole body is just like, no, thank you.
Do you think that maybe the Fool has expired his usefulness in the eyes of the universe?
Yes, and I think he's very much struggling to deal with that.
Yeah. So my thought process is law of equivalent exchange from Full Metal Alchemist. In the sense that like the more the Fool deteriorates, the more B progresses into like getting to a position where she can start doing her job. And like considering he was part of the conception, it just sounds like the craziest gangbang. But anyway, considering the Fool was part of the conception of B, there's like some kind of energy that was exchanged between him and her that obviously like now linked within themselves. So, and valid point.
And Fitz is supposed to be dead as well, neither of them. But then B would never have been born without them. But then if they no, they were both supposed
What do
to
they
die.
what do they call it? The something son?
Unexpected.
There we go. I think it was the unexpected son because these two people weren't meant to be alive. So, like, what if it's meant to be like a prophecy that could only really be fulfilled in a situation where, in such exceptional circumstances, that she just happens to fit the boxes?
Fitz was supposed to die at the end of the first trilogy, but I'm trying to think what was the Fool's purpose in the second trilogy that he needed Fitz for? Oh, to save Icefire.
Yeah.
But that didn't need to happen. So yeah, Fitz was supposed to die after the first trilogy because then the Fool continued as Amber and went to Bingtown and they brought the dragons back. But then the Fool came back because the dragons were doing so badly that the Fool thought that they needed Icefire, otherwise dragons would die. But they never actually needed Icefire because the dragons have thrived. Therefore, it wouldn't have mattered if Fitz died, the world would have still been changed. Because the dragons would have still come back, and that was the aim, because the Fool knew that he had to bring back dragons for the world to be on the right path. But then the Fool was supposed to die at the end of the second trilogy.
Mm.
When did the Fool find out that Fitz wasn't dead?
Straight away, because he dug him up, didn't he?
Can't remember.
I thought it was Burrage.
It was both, wasn't it? Oh no, the Fool was in the mountains with Catrican, and he found out that Fitz wasn't dead when Fitz turned up dying, and he fixed he sorted all his wounds.
Burrich didn't know because they had the whole thing of, oh, we thought you died, that's why we married each other.
Oh yeah. Who was it then? I can't remember.
Oh wait, why were they supposed to die? How was he supposed
Oh
to
wow,
die?
I need to reread this. We've come too far now. I can't remember.
They awakened Verity, and Verity flew off with Catrican. Fool left on Girl Riding Dragon, and Fitz and Night Eyes went to live in a cabin. But why? Because everybody thought that Fitz was already dead at the end of the second book, and then they resurrected him. So he just decided never to come back. So they didn't know that he went to Verity at all. So that's why they thought that he was dead. They thought that he'd been killed in Regal's dungeons.
I thought that was the end of the first book.
Second, I think.
But a dog died in the first book.
There's
Right?
2 dogs that die in the first
Yeah.
trilogy, I think.
There was a dog and a wolf. No?
There's 2 dogs and a wolf in the first trilogy. There's Night Eyes, who's the wolf. There's Nosy, who's the first dog. And then there's another one. That's the second dog. And the end of the first book is when they go to the mountains and who tries to kill Fitz and Nosy pulls him out of the water.
Yeah, and then Nosy dies.
And then at the end of the second book, he goes to Regal's dungeons and dies. And then Burrich digs him up with Shade.
But
And then at the
he's
end of the
in
third
Night
one-
Eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Burrich put him in a cabin. And one of the forged ones comes and takes his shirt and puts it on, and then Fitz kills him, and then Burrich comes back and thinks that the dead forged one is Fitz.
Yes.
And then everybody else thinks that he's already dead because he died in Regal's dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Beck said,
TLDR, they were meant to be dead.
who was meant to be dead?
Them.
Oh, all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about.
It's because I was just thinking, like, what, depending when the Fool found out, would he have just stopped if he thought Fitz was dead?
He did, didn't he? He went to the cabin in the mountains and was making puppets with that woman that Fitz went to see in the first book in this trilogy. And he just gave up because he didn't have a catalyst. So he's like, I can't do anything.
It's all a blur of pain for me.
I just remember those random scenes.
Mm.
Oh yeah, Patience took over like a true queen in that time period. She didn't.
Yeah, I agree with the Patience thing. Pissed about how it glanced over the deaths. It glances over some deaths though. Like Hobb just gives it a sentence sometimes. And it's like
Patience
She's like,
died.
unless it's going to be tragically on the page, she's not going to give you the decency.
mm-hmm.
Patience's death reminds me of Eliza at the end of Hamilton.
I haven't seen Hamilton.
Well, you're gonna cry a lot. Yeah, the Fool was a carpenter for years when he thought Fitz was dead.
Interesting question for the ladies in the room and the chat. What career would you aspire to if your partner was dead in a fantasy universe with no technology?
Oh my god.
Ashley, you go first because of that facial expression.
What careers am I choosing? What
Yeah.
What
do women have careers? I'm pretty sure the only one is prostitute.
Well, no,
No!
kids. You could be a hedge witch like the woman with the cat. She's a single woman with a job.
Yeah, I'd do that because that's like seems to be the only thing, right? Or you can be a candle maker like Molly, but
I was going to say you've got candle maker, hedge witch. across
in
the
a
two.
You could be a
non-sexist
serving
way.
girl, or you could be a cook, or a kitchen maid. So many careers.
Use the hedge bush and Becca as a candle maker.
Yeah. Does that make me the sex worker then?
Process of elimination.
Wait, what does that make me?
Hey, take your pick.
Let's have him wench.
I was also thinking like, if there was literally nothing else and I was in this magical world, you know what? I would actually like to clean ships and like have conversations with them as I'm cleaning them.
You know, actually, if you are in book, you can have a job. It's if you're in Bingtown, you can't really, because book isn't sexist. It's Bingtown that's sexist.
I'd like
We're
to
all
say
librarians.
I'd like to say I'd be a weapons master, but I don't think I'm that strong to do that.
There's Foxglove. Foxglove's a woman,
Yeah.
a widowed woman.
I do have to say, with Nettle, I appreciated her moment of being like, have you ever respected me just as like a person with skill?
You could be skill mistress. That's an option. Why did you go to prostitute?
First option was literally prostitute. Actually, it's definitely under.
You said in any fantasy world. I wasn't thinking of.
No, I said Okay, I thought I said in this fantasy world you could be anything.
Okay.
Like I wasn't saying in a sexist way. I was saying like if it wasn't sexist, but fair.
Well,
not to pick.
Is to be a sex worker. Apparently, that's the one he chose.
They make good money, so you know.
If I could pick, it would be Dragon Keeper, right? Like I'd want a dragon.
No, because they're all
Yeah, but a
dicks.
dragon is not a piece of shit. Like
Yeah, if you get one of the good ones, like I want to get wings like what's her face?
Primara.
Yeah.
No, I'm alright. They can keep it. I don't want
Happy
to
being
be
a
Happy with my candle making, not specifically candle making, but like I just like how in fantasy worlds, like you can have a shop that like wouldn't exist in today's world because capitalism and Amazon. So like, yeah, I could have a shop and just sell candles, and I would actually make money.
Yeah.
I'd be a long lost heir to the throne. I like the way you think.
I like that, Anna. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then you probably also got an assassin on your back, so.
Fifi, I love. Okay, you know what? Midwife is contributing to society and the continuation of the human race. So, go off, Fifi.
Speaking of Fifi, Fifi wants us to talk about how much of a dick the Fool was in this book.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, he went through a lot, didn't he?
Okay, I'm gonna sound petty, and it's just like, don't get me wrong, I'm like complaining about Fitz being a bitch, but like what goes through my head is like, imagine if your foreskin was peeling off. Like that's how he feels, and I feel so bad for him.
What an image.
Was no one else thinking that? Like,
This is a natural circumcision. Why were we thinking about that? Why?
like you think of the fingers, right? What's another appendage that sticks out? You know?
They would just try and take the skull off his things, though. I don't think he robbed the silver rim.
So you know how you were saying this whole thing about like, oh, if he like touched anyone, I just wonder like if there's people that he's touched. It's some interesting places. Oh, it's a cool tattoo. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking.
Oh no, please continue. I'm having the best time.
No, this is so stupid. Because like I don't think I want her in the next one.
Like, imagine having a silver penis and then the ramifications of all the children that have come from that.
Yeah.
I mean, B is an immaculate conception. Oh god.
T.
He never has been though in that regard. He does like tend to blurt out whatever he's kind of thinking and then just calls Fitz stupid for not getting it.
Mm.
But he's also
Like,
speaking
he's
to like
all-
the most dense person ever.
It's like when he essentially told Fitz that he was in love with him and Fitz flew off the handle and he's like a Dulcie Way's a big deal. But I think Fitz just lives in a constant state of gay panic.
Yeah.
Like I love you, but I won't sleep with you.
Mm. Do you remember back in the day when we used to like think about Amber and Fitz getting together? Have we lost that completely now, or do you think Fitz would be happy with Fool as Amber? I don't think so. I think he sees them as two separate people, which they kind of are, like the separate identities, but they still make up the whole. I don't know.
He had a moment
Mm,
when Amber walked in. It was like,
mm.
But then also the Fool, well, Amber touched him and like touched his arm, and he was like, "Get off me."
Yeah.
I don't know what his issue is with.
he did compare that moment to Molly though.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Molly fucked her dad. Like, stop comparing everyone to her. Jesus.
One like really random little thing that I appreciated was the fact that when it comes to the Fool being blind, that was never forgotten about. Like there were so many moments where it was just like I nodded, then realized he couldn't see me.
Yes.
Or like tapping teacups so he knows where it is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Oh my god, this reminds me of this Instagram video where it was like this guy was like helping these kids chop these blocks, but this girl came up and she didn't have arms, so she used her feet. And then he was like, "Yeah, good, high five." And then he like high fived her chest. It was so. I know that's so fucked up, but that's what it reminds.
I didn't think that Amber felt like Amber.
No.
No, I felt like I was getting like slight Karen vibes. And Amber wasn't ever like that. Like Amber was very like calm and like mysterious, where I was getting like a entitled lady vibe from Amber in this one.
I do have to wonder what role Amber has in terms of Kelsinger though, because Malta was just like, "Oh hi, you again."
I think maybe it was easier to approach as Amber in their mind versus approaching as the Fool.
Yeah, they don't know the Fool. They'll instantly trust Amber, but they don't know the Fool.
Yeah.
It's interesting though that Amber never explained like the duality of the character, like the person to any of them, because they went through a lot together, and then Amber just left. And as far as they're aware, Amber just lives in the Six Duchies, living the high life. Because the Fool's become a dick. He's always been childish though, and he's always been prone to childish fits of rage. And that was the same with this book, and it was definitely more annoying. But like it's not necessarily out of character.
Yeah. I feel like the Fitz has had so many moments like this where Fool's had to rein him in, so it's like Fitz's turn.
Molly likes to keep it in the family.
But I think maybe even the Fool knows that they're close to their end, so maybe they just don't have patience now.
Yeah.
And patience is dead. I get it.
But Patience is a stable girl.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, I meant like patience as in like
Lady Patience.
no, like I mean the concept. He doesn't have patience because he's dying. Like, what's the lady?
Jack knew that Amber was Lord Golden, but Jack was also Shade's informant. But did the Fool know that Jack was an informant?
Probably. The Fool always knows more than he lets anybody else know. Like there was a part in this even where I think Fitz said something about that, and the Fool was like, "I always know more than I let on."
Did she come in with things that she thinks that we could be that aren't
Yeah.
sex workers?
Yeah.
Okay, love that you came in now, babe. Better late than never.
So do we have any kind of thoughts, predictions for the last book?
Fitz is going to be in a dragon and marry Amber, and they're going to live happily ever after. It's not going to be the thing, but yeah.
Now that I know that everything's coming full circle, I actually don't really have any predictions.
I haven't got a clue what the last book would be, besides something's got to happen with B.
Because we know everything's
has-
going to come together, but how?
The dragons have to have some part to play too.
Who's
There's something going to
fighting?
happen with the dragons. There's some kind of prophecy that involves Fitz and the Fool are going to die in some fucking horrible way, but it'll be like, oh my god, they died together. It makes sense. And like maybe they're like souls or something like that are together in like two fucking animals that like can fuck each other and stuff. And then everyone else is going to be like, wow, Fitz really did so much for the world, blah blah blah. And Nettle will look after B.
I assumed that this series was going to end with Fitz's death, and like that totally could happen because Fitz and the Fool are not needed anymore because they've changed the world and they're going to finish that now. Well, they don't even need to be here now, technically. But it would be sad because Fitz had no reason to live because he lost all of these people. But if he gets B back, which is obviously going to be the ultimate goal, then he does have a reason to live. So it's going to be sad if he doesn't get to, especially because he's going to have a grandchild as well.
I hope the Fitz or the Fool are around to raise B, because like she's got two dads. It'd be sad if like she lost both her dads.
How old's Brashen right now? And I bet I'd still call him daddy.
Yeah, he'll be old, dude.
I don't care.
Granddaddy.
Honestly.
Well, technically, B would be in line, like the Farseer line. Could she just go back to Buckkeep?
Yeah, she probably
Yeah.
would. Well,
The
actually,
one's there.
she's the right prophet. Maybe not.
I feel like Ketchikan will want her there though. She's been very stern with that.
She might not want to go. She's not princess material, really, is she? She's
Yeah.
not.
It's more so in the way of like how she's gonna at least start being raised, but I guess I don't know. I just don't see Fitz and the Fool living,
No.
Yeah.
or at least not living. Like I strongly now am thinking I believe in the whole Motley is actually someone's consciousness in a bird, and I feel like they're gonna do something like with that, especially seeing as like we didn't really see much of Night Eyes. I feel, I don't know.
I think that Fitz might go to the Skill River because everybody he's ever loved is in there. Apart from Molly. Oh, he might go to Molly because, I mean, fuck everyone else if Molly goes, right.
I know this is crazy, but what if Fitz dies and then goes into the Fool like he did with Night Eyes, and then Fitz and the Fool become one character?
That would be cute.
Yeah, I don't quite think that's what we're going to get because that's too nice.
I can't imagine them living in the same head.
No, that would be chaos, wouldn't it? Like inner turmoil all the
They
time.
would hate each other all the time.
I really want that now. Imagine how interesting those chapters would be to read.
Until they slowly collapse into insanity.
Yeah.
Unless they both end up in B with Wolffather.
Well, imagine having like 3 dads in your head. That would suck.
Really shit consciousness going on.
I feel like Fitz would be the worst because the Fool's really flamboyant, so he'd support all of your bad choices. The Wolf's a wolf, so he's like anything for survival. He's like, yeah, go for it. And then you've got Fitz who's like gay panic, just constantly too many morals.
Oh, Beth said, what if it's a Night Eyes and Fitz reunion? That will end me. I won't recover. I wouldn't. No, don't. No, I need to brace myself for this because that has to be how it ends, right? It has to be Fitz and Night Eyes.
What if it's like the end of Titanic with Rose? No, not like not with the ship sinking. The very end where it goes to the ballroom scene.
Oh yeah.
And everyone,
reuniting with everyone.
yeah.
No, too gay. I don't like it.
That is a bit camp. Yeah.
No, I love that. That makes me real. Well, not for
That's
that.
what I had gone.
Apart from Jack, like, who cares about anybody else who was on the Titanic? But
I really, really just want them to die. Just because, like, it seems like the most himself that Fitz can ever feel like he can be is, like, in some kind of animal form. Make him a fucking animal. Make the Fool an animal. Fuck it. He deserves it after everything he's been through.
Joins him from the hunt. Don't. No.
oh yeah, because he said that he will.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm so scared to read the next one. When is the next live show? Is it September? Or is it August? September.
September, I think it'll be like the 18th of September.
All right, cool.
Oh, it's a few days after my birthday.
That's what you said last time.
Happy birthday.
It's not even yet, but fine.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I think Hob is writing something else, but I can imagine it being like the next generation from here on.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be about B. To the people in the chat who know what that is, are we allowed to know yet? Every live show I'll be like, can you tell me yet? Because I can't Google it until I know whether it's spoilers.
Yeah.
You know what? What the next book's about? Oh shit! Fuck me.
To be
Well,
honest with you.
I bet you she's gonna make like I don't know, some kind of not metaphor, but you know what I mean, in like something for honey. You know what I mean? Like honey for dragons, and it's like B is the main character. Get it?
It's because I was thinking throughout this with B being the next White Prophet, you could literally just do the Realm of the Eldlings again, but with B and her catalyst. But I was like, Robin Hobb's too old. Like, it's never going to happen. Like, you won't get through another 15 books.
Who would even be the catalyst, though?
I hope we find out before the end of the series. I'm thinking maybe Per.
Perseverance, yeah.
I know this is gonna sound so fucking cringe, and obviously we don't need it, but I really want like B and Per. Because Per's like the only other child I really like.
But I'm thinking maybe Per and Spark.
True.
You got me there.
Is
I am forgetting Spark, Ash. Like I am forgetting them.
He's really disturbed that Ash is a girl, and it seems to go beyond the fact that like the deception thing. It seems really so. I'm wondering if maybe he might end up being like a queer character, and that's why he's freaked out by it. And
Is it giving you Fitz in the Fool generation too?
Can her catalyst be a dragon? But try like how do you make a you catalyst needs to be somewhat like not obedient but like receptive. I don't feel like a dragon would be.
They need to be able to be manipulated, basically.
Or she can start the series and Brando Sando will finish it. I mean, why not? Write a book a day. He could do it. He could write every
This
day.
comment. This is valid. I respect it. But yeah, oh my god, we're just shipping Per with everyone. Who knows? Maybe it could be a polyamorous relationship.
Maybe.
She hasn't done that yet.
I love how they're all like 10 as well.
Okay, listen. They're aged up in this future fantasy.
Sure.
Hey, if Fitz can be an assassin at the age of 8, anything could happen.
When he was going through and he was like, yeah, I've killed all these people and I poisoned these people and I went and killed these twins, I was like, I don't remember any of this.
I remember saying that about the first series. I was just like, to say this is about an assassin, we see 0 death. We see none of the assassinating.
I like Riddle more than I thought I would. Not that I thought I wouldn't like him, it's just I didn't realize how relevant he was going to become. And I'm like, I like you.
I do agree with these points.
Parallel to the full Fitz Molly triangle. Ash, Per, and B.
Stop.
We're going to use live ships to get to Clara's.
I hope it's Paragon.
If it's not Paragon, that is a really highly missed opportunity.
Yeah.
The fan of this series.
Isn't Paragon going to be turned into dragons now, though?
No. Paragon's just vibing.
But could he not be? Like, the dragons are better now.
Don't think so.
It's just vibing. Probably change.
He's Althea's ship, isn't he? I'm sad. Oh, you know what would be cool actually, because we haven't seen them in fucking ages. If Wintro came with
Oh
Vivacia,
God. Yeah, that's a
we
throwback.
don't see them at all. Like we see Althea and Brashen briefly.
Off being the Pirate King.
He's no, he broke up with Essa. I'm pretty sure it said in the last series. He's not with her anymore.
Mm. He was a big part of what Amber needed, right, for the prophecy to happen or whatever. Intro.
I can't. Was it him or was it Malta that was the one?
It was both, I think. He was. I think Amber was looking for Wintro for a while, and then it ended up being Malta, if I remember correctly.
Nettle's baby could be the catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't it their younger brother who ended up going to Chalced with?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's he now? I thought he'd be mentioned.
What's his name?
Oh, God.
Cedric? Selden. Cedric's the one keeper that we ended up liking.
Mm.
The only one. Oh no, because there was what's his partner called?
Oh, I can't remember.
He's cool as well.
Do you know what's been bugging me? What was the name of the dude who was the bad pirate? Do you remember his wooden thing that had like his own face on it?
Kenneth.
Yeah, Kenneth.
Yeah, we never found out how that kind of worked. You know?
Oh, why it was him? Like
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, like, and then also the island with the others. We know that the others are like malformed dragons, right? But what's with all them? You can take something from here, or you can't take something. And there was like a doll at some point.
I think that they're going to come back into it, and I was wondering if the whites are like a version of the others.
Yeah. Mm.
Wasn't there something about Stone being near that island, and that's why everything was a bit weird about it?
Possibly. But there was like a figure, wasn't there? And it looked like the Narcheska, or whatever her name is.
Yes, on the beach, and Thingy picked it up. Beautiful, was it? Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Eliana in this. She really irritated me at one point. Oh, it was when she was going against Dutiful and she knew about Nettle, and I'm like, well, this caused a lot of people a lot of pain because Dutiful is the king. But aside from that, love her. She was great.
Whose blood did the fool drink?
One of the dragons that's dead.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, could it be one of the ones that died in the storm thing? Where like all of the water started rushing down the river.
Mm.
See, this is the thing, because as soon as he drank that, my first thought was, well, now he needs that dragon to, like, maintain him. What's going to happen to the fool now? Is he just going to fade out of existence unless Fitz can now heal him?
No, because I think Cedric just drank the blood and you formed the bond with the dragon, but like it's only the children of Eldlings that need the guidance. I think the people who originally bond with them just like they don't really change apart from in coloring and stuff unless a dragon decides to do something with them.
Yeah.
So like Thymara's changes is that she grew wings, but that's only because Centaura wanted her to. And then I think what happens with the children is that you have dragon DNA and human DNA. So when you make a baby, it just takes bits of DNA, like with making normal babies. And then like there's no telling how it's going to evolve as they grow.
Mm.
And that's the issue with them and why they need guidance.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was also a point made as well where it's like we don't actually know the full extent of Dragon Blood because Jade had his documents where it's just like somebody just found fake. So we still don't actually know the full extent of what that does to people.
I just hope she gives us enough pieces to be able to like piece everything together in this next book, because I don't want to be like, I know she said that she could write more books in this series, but like, and that's completely fine, fair enough. Maybe you have more of a story to tell or whatever the fuck, but please give enough pieces for us to actually be able to comprehend the magic system here, because I feel like there's like a fatal gap that we're missing.
Yeah. It's like we kind of know where the wit comes from and its origins, but when it comes to the Farseers, we don't fully know where they got the skill from and why it's so strong in their bloodline and how the dragons come into that.
Is this all going to come back to the tapestry that was on Fitz's bedroom wall that had elves on it?
Probably, and if so, we'll all just be like,
I can't remember. It's a meeting. Is it a meet? It's a meeting of Elderlings or somebody else. Maybe one of the original Farseers.
It was the one that went up the mountains to ask the aid of the dragons or the Elderlings.
Yeah.
See, Lola and Nikki have said about the keeper who died because he consumed blood but didn't get the guidance.
I thought there was a Cedric. I did that. Shade got the blood because he intercepted it. It was going to the Duke of Chelmsford, and he
Yeah.
told the courier to bring it to him instead. But where the courier got it from that's what we don't know. The dragon is definitely dead though, because I think it was a green dragon that greeted them and was like, "We don't know the dragon that you bonded to, but I know that you bonded to a dragon." And they kept saying that they hadn't met them and they thought that they were dead. Rhiannon says, I haven't seen anyone diss the ending of the series, so I have hope. And it's like, I don't know if we've reached the ending of this.
That's true.
That just shows she's mad influence.
I'll be so proud of us when we finish this.
The jerk that was trying to be the leader. But he was eaten by crocodiles, wasn't he? How did he die?
I can't remember.
They went down the river to find him because he took the stuff from Cedric's room, didn't he, and tried to run away with it. And then they found him dead. He was ill. I don't remember why. I was watching Aaron did sprints yesterday with Steph and Elliot because for Aaron's book club they're doing the live ship traders, and it was so fun because like Elliot and Aaron were starting it in those sprints, and Steph was like, "Oh, there's this guy Kyle, and like he's the worst." And they were like, "Oh right, okay," and then I was like, "Oh my god, not Kyle," and then like as the sprints progressed, they were like, "Yeah, I've met Kyle, and I'm not getting good vibes."
Yeah. Just you wait.
And then they were like, "Oh, well, surely he can't be worse than Regal." And I'm like,
Bless him.
Oh god.
He was dying from his changes, was he?
No, he was already dying, and then he tried to use dragon blood to heal it, and that just wasn't working. He was also suffering from the water because Malta kept washing him in acidic water.
Yeah.
There was also the part where they were trying to get down the river, and Malta was just like, "Right, fuck off. Not rowing for you anymore." Did they just like shove him off the ship or something? I don't remember.
He got munched by a croc or something. Yeah, so I didn't make that up. He did maybe get eaten by crocodiles. Oh, Kyle. He's truly the worst. Kyle. And then they're like, oh, Steph said something about Kenneth and was like, oh, like, we've met this guy, Kenneth. Like, I'm interested to see what you guys think of him because he's pretty morally grey. And I'm like, oh, Kenneth.
I've just got such random images from all of these books popping into my head.
You get an image?
Not
That's a first for you.
No, I mean, like, because in the first one, when we were talking about it earlier, I just had the scene from, like, there was a really long descriptive chapter start of how they were skinning carcasses for a while, and I was just like, why?
Yeah, that's about halfway through the first book in the live ship traders, I think.
Animal cruelty.
Why do I not remember this croc-eating bloke? What was his name? He was the guy who thought he was cool and he wasn't. He was bonded to the biggest dragon.
Oh, wasn't he? Yeah, I forgot his name.
Oh, he was eaten by a dragon, not a crocodile, because he tried to
kill it or like take something from it.
I remember now. Beaten by a dragon, yeah.
He tried
I
to boss
thought
him
he
around.
went down the river and was being eaten by crocodiles because he tried to escape because they didn't want anything to do with him. And then they went after him because he took the stuff from Cedric.
We may be thinking about two different people.
Maybe. Greft.
I do remember the scene where someone got eaten by a dragon because he was like trying to act like this dragon was like a pet, basically, and then the
Yeah.
dragon was just like,
You will do what I will say.
Yeah.
The dragon was just like, yeah, I will.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a different. I think Greft stole stuff from Cedric and then tried to get away. And then when they followed him, they found him dead with a bunch of crocodiles, and they tried to bring the stuff back with them because, like, obviously they were low on supplies and food and stuff, and he'd like stole from them as well as them trying to get the stuff back.
Oh, I think it's because there was like
Yes,
scene
it was
with
the
all
whole
of them.
guy.
There was a scene with all of them, I think, just before where like Cedric got lost down the river somewhere. And just happened.
Yeah, and the hunter tried to kill Relpter, and Cedric was like, absolutely not, and then Relpter killed him.
Mm.
Yeah, I love Relpter.
Wait, is that the daddy dragon that I fancy?
No, that's Murkor. Relpter is the copper one that Cedric's bonded to that's just like really derpy.
Thank you for reminding me of Merkel. He can get it. What wasn't Hef like the husband who's the abusive piece of shit?
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what
Fuck that
happened.
guy. He died.
Oh my god, yeah, Murkor ate him.
Mm-hmm. That's who we were thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, and Carlo was bonded to Greft, I think. Greft.
Mm.
Isn't Carlo, why can't I speak? Carlo, isn't he the big bad dragon? That's a bit of a dick.
I honestly know the Fitz and the Fool books better than I know the Rain Wild or Bingtown books at this point, clearly, because like, do not remember.
Hest was trying to get a dragon to listen to him and was just eaten. Yeah. Yeah, he was like, oh, you just need to assert some authority. And the dragon was like, and
He's trying to treat a dragon how he treats the people he fucks, and it's just like, are you dense, my brother? Like, are you
most
dumb?
of them still don't even know where he is. I don't think anyone said, like, Carlo, yeah, maybe Carlo ate Hest, but didn't tell anyone. So they all don't know where he is.
There was just that like one really bad day for Hest where he came back and everyone was like, fuck off. So he went and stormed off to a dragon and got eaten. Like, oh, bye.
A series of unfortunate events for the rest of us, TBH.
Hobb does write some good, like, shitty villainous characters, though. Love to see them get their redemption.
The guy that died in this, that Perseverance killed, Duke Ellic, I want to say is how you say it. It was like a nice little thing that he turned out to be the guy in this, but it was totally irrelevant. Like, there's no relevance to him being the leader of that band of Chalcidians, aside from like, oh, this is a Chalcidian we've met before that we don't like very much.
Mm.
I'm gonna say there's not like a specific bad guy right now besides maybe this Dwalia.
But she's not the leader. She's at least one step below the people at the top.
The kidnappers, people, leader. Yeah.
I like that Hest was trying to be a pack leader, but was a pack lunch.
That's great.
Yeah. So is the conclusion for this one just we got no fucking clue what the last book's gonna be?
Yeah.
Oh, Rhiannon just said then Gref's canoe was tipped over by the crocs, and I think he was burnt by the water, and then he was eaten by a dragon.
Ah, okay.
But I think he was eaten by a dragon because maybe he was already dead, and they were like, "What do we do with him?" And then they fed him to the dragon, maybe. Yeah, no, we don't know what's happening in the next one. I really don't know. I think that Fitz is definitely going to die, assumedly the Fool as well. Or if only one of them dies, I think it might be the Fool, because the Fool doesn't have a purpose outside of Fitz, whereas Fitz has a family.
Well, the Fool will probably have a purpose with B because that's his kid, no?
Sure.
I can imagine more Fitz dying in the Fool raising a quirky little family with B.
I was just thinking that actually.
Yeah.
Or hear me out. Fitz and like Night Eyes reunite, whatever the fuck. Imagine this family portrait. You got the Fool still looking like shit, but a bit better, holding a baby, and there's a little Wolfie there on the couch with them. Family portrait.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Rhiannon, but I feel like he has more happiness to have because, like, he had his life with Molly, but that was away from the rest of his family.
Yeah.
We also didn't see that.
Mm.
Oh, we got a fast forward, didn't we?
So it's just like, and 12 years later, she died. Like, oh, okay.
He
She
had
had
enough
no sign
happiness.
for 10 years, and then she was pregnant for about another 10 years, and then she died. That is a good point, actually. Bee can't survive without both of them because she needs to know all of the things that they know specifically. Because she also has, like, she is witted because she talks to cats, and she also has Night Eyes.
I reckon it could be why Webb keeps popping up still. Like, we need someone relevant who's got anything to do with the Old Bloods.
Mm.
And they've started using him as like an informant thing to like speak to the birds.
She has a brother with the whip. Maybe that's why she has a brother.
Yeah.
With the whip.
And also Ketchikan kind of now knows that she has it.
Who has the skill? Nettle. It's just the prophet.
Mm.
I feel like she does need the Fool though, because she needs someone to guide her on being the White Prophet. Although the Fool didn't have anyone, he kind of just knew what he was supposed to do from his dreams.
I forgot that Beautiful has the wit and that whole
Same.
situation.
Yeah, he's got a dog.
Mm.
What about that?
Dutiful seems it's just because he's the king. He seems a bit far removed though. Like he's too busy to teach Bee anything.
Even
But
his-
Nettle would.
Nettle would, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then whichever brother it is that went to apprentice with Webb has the wit as well. Nettle has the skill.
it's just Fitz that wouldn't actually be needed.
It's like if we're saying these other people are too old for this shit, he's way too old for this shit. You can't be asking some 60-year-old, 70-year-old motherfucker to be like teaching a baby, even if it is his.
Shade is still around. He's like 90 at this point.
What is that? Can he just get in the politest way? Can Shade just pick it?
Shade is
Back her down the
always
system.
been old.
Hey, he might be. He's getting
He
there.
was literally balding and white-haired in the first book. Like, you guys have seen the illustrated editions, right? Literally in the illustrated edition, he's old as fuck, pale white hair, like super receding hairline. How is he still alive? He's like probably 100 and something now.
Well,
What?
at the beginning, how old is Chivalry and Verity? Like 30?
30, yeah.
So
What if
they've got to be
we-
like 50, 60 at least, Shade and Shred.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling it now. Shade is going to die in the last book because, like, it's going to be just after he sees that Shun has come back. Like, he'll see his daughter back home.
She's already back.
He's already back. Yeah.
When did that happen?
End of the book, I think.
No, she's been back for ages.
Is she?
Yeah, when Bee went through the portal,
Oh,
they
yeah.
told her about a chapter afterwards and brought her back to Shade. She's been with Shade all this time.
Mm.
She just sits by his fire drinking tea.
Mm.
Oh, never mind.
And tries to stop people from talking to him too much because he's still a bit out of it.
I mean, it could still die. She's only just returned.
I think like he might die, but I think because I don't even know if Fitz is going to come back to Bookkeep because I don't feel like he can't, but also he very intentionally said goodbye to everybody.
Mhm.
And especially with Shade, it feels like that's the last time he's ever going to talk to Shade.
Mm.
I feel like I agree with this completely, but there was another comment that I saw
We've been waiting for
about
Shade
like
to
Fitz
get
becoming Spy Master, right? And like I like that and like how it would rotate, but another part of me is kind of like there's this scene in Assassin's Creed Revelations where Ezio meets Altair. I'm not trying to spoil the game, but it makes sense. Hear me out. So he has this realization essentially. The revelation is like, my life is not some great epic fantasy necessarily. It's like my part is just a part in someone else's bigger story, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is what Hobb is trying to do. Like, I don't think she's going to fully flesh out Bee's story or anything like that. But I feel like it's kind of that thing of like what generations and stuff like that, and how we all have a small part to play in like a very big world and stuff. Like, I don't think like Fitz never felt like a the one character. He was like the one, but not like we're with him for so many stupid reasons sometimes. So I just definitely feel like it's a situation where it's like, I realize now that this is what my duty is, and I'm done. Like, I've done enough, and I want him to go out like that.
I don't think Spy Master suits him because I think he's too depressive to have such a solitary profession.
I don't think he'd put anybody else through what he was put through. Unless
And he's not a big picture guy. He's a narrow-minded guy, like Blinders on guy. He doesn't have the big picture that Shade has.
I also just think as well, if there's another series after this, unless we were completely removed like we were with Live Ship or whatever, we would still have to follow Fitz's perspective if he was alive. Which I just can't see happening for another book. Because I can't imagine us following like B and him being a side character. Or just being like, yeah, Fitz is over here just like chilling.
He's like in her 20s. She might rarely see him.
Yeah, but I just can't imagine like just vaguely hearing of him.
He might have been playing the role of Chade, like being the one that sets up things for B to do or something.
But that's what I mean. I can't imagine him being in the story without being a perspective.
Being the
I just feel that. Sorry, go ahead, Becca.
Because with his kids, he's like, oh, I don't want this life for my children. But like Nettle's like, I want to be a princess, and he's like, I just don't want you. It's not a life I want for my kids. But she's like, no, like this is what I want. It's just like, oh, Fitz, little Fitzy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried though.
Yeah.
I just hope he meets a good end.
Same.
It'll definitely be emotional. I really do feel like he should reunite with Night Eyes if he does die, but then thinking about it, unless B dies, Night Eyes is kind of there, and I don't know how he can pass out of B. I don't even understand how he's just like a bit of consciousness that's passed along to people.
He's like a virus.
No, it's not super hot in the UK. I think it's like 20 degrees here now, maybe less than that because it rained.
Yeah, it was hell earlier this week, but we're fine now. How are things up north, actually?
Rainy? All right.
Yeah, it's been raining here as well.
Dude, I almost fainted because of heat exhaustion on Monday. It was horrible.
Wow. It was only 36 for us, which I mean, still really hot, but not as hot as it was in like London.
Yeah, I think
I live on the 4th floor as well, so like all the heat. Yeah, I agree with you. I honestly want to read the next one right now because I just need to fucking know. But I don't know if I want to sit and stew in it until September, where we finally get to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some like supportive reading sprints while we get through this trauma.
Because dead ass, like out of anything, I think this is probably the most likely we are going to be to cry, and this is kind of our farewell to this world and these characters for foreseeable future. So
yeah, it's gonna be emotional.
I mean, Molly, I know you're saying that you can't believe we have to wait until September, but it is like a 900-page book, so. It's a chunky one.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'll happily wait. I think
it's interesting that this book ended on a cliffhanger as well, because it hasn't. I don't feel like they normally end on cliffhangers.
Don't they?
They're normally like they're just starting a journey at the end of all of them.
It's normally quite. I think that the end of the books are normally quite settled.
Yeah.
Intense.
Honestly, like I don't remember many endings apart from the most crucial one that I will always remember is the one where what's her name? Me. I will always remember. Also me. What's her name? the chick who's like Rain Wild and she gets her wings out and shit. And then the dragon flies.
Yeah.
Yes. The ending was just so good. So I remember that very clearly, but I don't honestly remember any of those.
Well, it's like if you think of the first trilogy, like it like Fitz nearly dies but doesn't at the end of the first book. The second book, he does die, but he's resurrected before the end, and it's looking towards the new book. Both of these end chapters ended in the middle of a scene.
Yeah.
I think she's trying to like speed up the pace though, because she's been so like longing everything out. Like this has to be her like, and this happened, and this happened, this happened, because like you can't slow down now.
Maybe it's just gonna like start really, but it's a 900-page book, so I don't believe that it's not going to be like slow at some point.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 300 pages of journey somewhere.
Yeah, probably to the island.
And the last one, yeah, it's gonna be to Clara's on a live ship. Hopefully Paragon.
I like that though. I know a lot of books like try to do time gaps or stuff like that, or make scene changes that make sense. But I love it when it's like a movie and the next movie starts exactly where the last one ended or something like that. Like, don't fucking waste my time. Let's just get straight into the meat of it. I don't need this is what happened. You know.
As long as we don't start the next book with the equivalent of trying to get thick on a boat.
Oh God, yeah.
Because that what was
that
the
really tested you, I remember.
That was very much a what was the reason moment. We never get the reason for that.
Yeah.
We just really established that Thick doesn't like water.
Fucking cover his eyes and ears.
Oh, that was a lot.
So you know the UK, I don't actually own it yet, but you know the UK cover of this series for the next one? It has like a castle or something on it, right? Is that like its own place in not Calcinga?
Am I crazy or is it gold?
It's like blue and gold, yeah. And it's like, I'm assuming that's Clarice.
Yeah, and there's a bee on it. Oh my God, there's a bee on it. See what I say. What I say. But what is that behind the A?
I'm gonna get a picture of it.
I'm gonna go get my book.
Yeah, I need to order it. I keep forgetting.
There's like some like Eye of Sauron random gold shit behind the A in the book cover.
I mean, behind the A on mine is just candles.
Oh, are they candles?
Yeah.
Who was the candle maker again?
Molly.
Okay, so
got her candle. Well, Fitz has now got Molly's candles that we served.
Okay, so what if it's all metaphorical and it's meant to represent that he's now in a different dimension that Bee can no longer reach, and she is in some palace?
I'm looking at the old school cover as well. He's like holding, I'm assuming that's, well, you can't see that, but he's holding, I'm assuming that's Bee's dream journal. Then there's like the castle in the background of bones and then a dragon in the background.
Is that which book? Is that this one or the next one?
The next one. But it's like
yeah, I see the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that okay, so they're using the same castle and there's some big ass dragon.
Oh, somebody said earlier, like, do you think that Clara's is made of the bones of dragons? But they said sea creatures, so I thought serpents. But then they said something about them mating in the area, and serpents don't mate, dragons do. Serpents are babies.
It's a baby.
It's a baby. It's like 30 foot long.
853 pages.
Damn.
Wow.
So the longest one is Ship of Destiny?
One of them was 900 pages.
Yeah.
I was just like, why?
Cloudy Dragon. Yeah, that castle in the background must be Clara's because of the colour of it and how it's in the middle of the sea.
Yeah.
I'm reading the blurb now. It's time to read the blurb. We've finished.
I just did, and I was like,
ooh. Okay.
Gosh. Should I read it out loud for the stream? Do you guys want me to?
I just asking date instead of fit. There is a book called I Dated a Hot Assassin
date
by Viola
Shade,
Gray.
babe. I'm sorry, but Shade, you can't. He's not real.
Yeah. It's only got 3,000 reviews on Goodreads. That's insane.
No one's got that far yet.
Oh, it's got 33,000 ratings. Okay, that's fine.
Oh yeah, there's the 4, isn't there? There's like 4 bad guys, like the leaders of the White Prophets.
First called home and later called prison. Oh.
Okay, I'll read mine out because people want it read out. Prince Fitzchivalry Farseer's daughter Bee has been abducted by servants of the Four, the rulers of Clares, in their search for the unexpected son. With Fitz in pursuit, the kidnappers fled through a skill pillar with their prize, leaving no trace. Fitz and the Fool set out for Clares on a mission for revenge that becomes a voyage of discovery, reunions, transformations, and mysteries revealed.
Transformation.
But they're... What did I say?
No, I'm just picking out words.
I thought I said something different.
No.
But they're not the only ones with a deadly grudge against the Four. An ancient wrong will bring them unlikely allies. If the corrupt society of Clares is to be brought down, Fitz and the Fool must make a series of profound and fateful sacrifices.
So the synopsis is different on Goodreads.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, what is the origin of the others and that eerie beach? How are live ships and dragons connected? Yes, we're getting answers, guys.
We know about live ships and dragons are connected.
Well, you know what I mean. We're getting more answers, like the others.
Are we seeing a... yeah. I see that Kitty G has already read this quite a while ago, and I really like her reviews, and she gave it a 5 stars. So you know what? That fills me with faith.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm wondering if they tried to, in this whole prophecy thing, tried to skew something their way, did something really wrong, because I just zoned in on that an ancient wrong will bring them unlikely allies. And that's how everything will end up being connected, because it's just like, right, you tried to change fate and fucked it up. So now we've had to go through all this to get back on track. You need to be stopped.
And the Goodreads one is really putting in this idea that, the Fool hated this place that they're ending up going to, and the Fitz and the Fool are basically just going to come in like 2 angry dads and fuck everyone up. But I'm just like, that's too simple for where we are right now. Could you give me a bit more than that?
Startling answers to old mysteries are revealed.
This
What became of the live ships Paragon and Vivacia and their crews? So Paragon comes back.
Hey! The synopsis that I've got is different.
Oh
my god!
How many synopses is there?
Mine is more about the fact that they have to save Bee, so it's more about the martial aspect of that. Because it says, for all his injuries, however, the Fool is not as helpless as he seems. He is a dreamer too, able to shape the future. And though Fitz is no longer the peerless assassin of his youth, he remains a man to be reckoned with. Deadly with blades and poison, and adept in Farseer magic, and the goal is simple: to make sure not a single servant survives their scourge.
Ooh. Okay, this is going to be great. I'm scared.
I love that, Becca's synopsis is the start of just them two going and getting revenge. Mine's just when they get revenge, they discover that they're not the only people wanting revenge, and then Cody's is Paragon, Vivacia, it's all coming in.
Who writes these blurbs? They're all awful.
Mine's what Ashley's was, but then some added extras. On Goodreads.
I hate it when books do that. I actually this is just a reader pet peeve, but it's I like it when they give you an idea of what's to come and be vague as fuck. But when you start name dropping things and basically telling me what happened, oh my god, so many books do this, where they tell you what happens after you get past the initial plot twist or the story really starts. No, I want to be blindsided. I fucking hate how these books are just let's be a trailer and give you the main point.
I don't think sequels need synopses. All it needs is the number, what number it is in the series. Because realistically, if you pick up the 3rd book in a series in a bookshop and read the back, you can't read the book. So you just spoil
literally at most just say what we know at the end of the previous one. Don't give new information.
Yeah, agreed.
I would just put a line being like, refer to book 1.
Or just a quote, like a really cool quote that's in the book. Like,
I remember when I read The Mortal Instruments, I had to sellotape pieces of paper over the synopses because I kept accidentally spoiling myself.
Well, that was
dude.
me with this entire series. So it's
Oh, I
just
did it as
Night
well.
Eyes is dead across the back, and I'm like, right, cool.
I feel, oh my god, I think YA books are probably the worst at this because obviously they're trying to get their money quicker, so they try to sell the point quicker. But literally, when I'm accidentally checking that I'm going to be reading the correct sequel to a book, I think I actually fucking spoil A Curse So Dark and Lonely, that like something that happens later, by reading the freaking blurb because of the book, because I was trying to make sure, oh, is this the second one or the third one? Boom.
Mhm.
It wasn't numbered. How was I meant to know?
Yeah, it's annoying.
Okay, are we done here?
Yeah, I think we've talked about everything we can.
You're talking for over 2 hours, so I hope so.
Yeah.
I feel like the last live show is going to be about 5 hours and an hour.
Oh god, yeah, we're gonna need snacks.
We will know our shit. Take notes.
We're just gonna start crying again. Remember the live show where we just cried?
Yeah.
Remembering
That
what
was
happened.
Aaron isn't even that still isn't that far in the series, and she just came to that to watch us cry.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we'll see you in September for the last one.
I'm scared.
We've been here since April 2020, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah.
Hob got us through the pandemic.
True. Does that mean
Oh
the
my
world
God, I
will be
just-
fixed when we
When we finish this book, it's all going to be cured.
yeah. Pandemic's
Isn't it?
over.
It's crazy because, like, I'm just remembering you guys were here not long ago, and we've been reading this book and talking over this significantly more than we have IRL. That's just insane to me.
Mm.
Becca
Yeah.
really said, I'm going to make sure y'all are all my friends for the next few years.
Well, I mean, I don't know. When we started, we had different members, and
Well, yeah, there is that.
You know, like, yeah, time.
Yeah.
Yeah, familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah, like it shows you what turns into wine and what turns into mold.
And on that note,
Deb's longest book club commitment. Yeah. Oh, by the way, because I said that First Law is the first one, there is 9 books in that series. Because I know somebody said not another 15-book series. Not quite, but there is 9.
Wait,
Yeah.
I thought the first law was 3 books.
Yeah, it's a universe. So there's a trilogy, 3 standalones, and then another trilogy.
Yeah.
You might as well have made us start Wheel of Time. Like, what are we doing?
That's 15. We'd be here for another 3 years.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Are we still calling it Daddy Crombie along?
That'd be cool.
Look, because we decided that he wasn't Daddy.
Okay.
It's just Gavin, do you think? When Gavin does like the delay-deling along, he can do Daddy Crumble along.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
cool.
it's just Abercrombie along for us.
Yeah. Just crumble
Oh
on.
my god, we need to start with like ABBA songs.
Mm.
I don't.
Hopefully this one will be less emotionally taxing than Hob was. I think this is a bit more like grimdark, right? And like, yeah.
Yes. Rhiannon, I'm not holding your hand through a trilogy. You can read a trilogy by yourself. We're tackling the big things in this book club.
Are we gonna do Sanderson ever? Scared.
Well, most of us have read a lot.
Most of you've all fucking read Sanderson. It's just me. Ignore
Yeah,
me.
I'm
So we'll never
caught
do
up.
that.
I feel like we could, but it would have to be at a point in the Stormlight archive where it's worth a reread, you know?
Mm.
I'm going to reread them all before at some point in my life, because there's going to be 10 books in Stormlight and only 4 have been published, but that's not right now.
It took me about 3 years to continue Final Empire. I'm not going back and doing it again.
No. Oh.
Fair. Yeah, Stormlight Book 5 has just been delayed.
Like I've heard from Cody especially that they are very easy to read, so it's a series that will be easier to like, even though they're thick boys. And
Yeah.
Sanderson is probably the only author who's running the publication industry right now because he is writing books at a reasonable pace.
Mhm.
Like, and apparently the language he uses is a bit more simple. It's not
Yeah.
like trying to be fiery and stuff like that.
His
So
writing style is like super readable. It's his
yeah,
worlds. The thing that bugs me about him is that he dumbs down his writing for YA, but realistically, his writing is fine. It's the complexity of the plot and the worlds that is dense.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to dumb down the writing for YA, and that's why I don't really like his YA stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah. But Stormlight is superior, but it's good just to read the YA stuff for the base knowledge of the Cosmere and all of the interlinks and everything. That's
Yeah.
going to help him down the road.
I'm at the
Yeah.
thing where I'm just like, I don't know where to go now. I need to figure it out.
Mm.
Probably just
Warbreaker or Second Year of Mistborn. It doesn't
Or
matter.
Elantris.
She's done Elantris.
Oh, have you done that one?
like hasn't someone made like a timeline thing? Yeah, I'll
Essentially,
probably check that out eventually.
it doesn't really matter what order you read anything in, as long as you read everything before Stormlight.
I
Yeah.
think it's because to me, because I haven't got the books on my shelves, like they're just words in my head. Like it's not, I can't go, okay, Warbreaker. I couldn't tell you which one Warbreaker is, like which series that is.
It's the purple one.
It's a standalone for now.
It's
So
the one about
I-
colour.
Would have assumed that it was Stormlight because that's the only other word I know. In
Yeah.
Warbreaker is the one to, in my head, it matches Elantris because it's on its own. And it's I remember because the UK covers are white with a different colour, so I remember the colours of every, like all the different ones.
Warbreaker, I always just remember the romance in it because Sanderson's not really big for romance, but Warbreaker, there's a really good romance in it.
Mm. I know that Aaron just started Malazan and DNF'd it 10 hours later, so I don't know if that.
See, I still want to go for Malazan. I want to do it, but I also didn't want to suggest it for the Catch Up Book Club because it would be too intense, I think.
How many books is it?
I think there's like, I want to say 16. But
But they're all like 400 pages, so it's like, how do we pace that? And it depends how much happens in the first books. I think we might still do it like bi-monthly, but like 2 books in one live show. I don't know. But then there's also like the Magician series, the Johnny Wirtz stuff that's like intersects with Raymond E. Feist somewhere.
There's this other series that someone else is gonna have to help me with the name. It's called books like Valor and stuff like that, and they're white with just
John
colour.
Gwynne, Malice.
Yeah.
I want to read that too. I would love to do a Malazan read along because it's going to be a book that would be amazing to discuss, I think, but I couldn't do it after Hob. Like, that would be another heavy one, I think.
I think there's multiple region orders for Malazan as well. I do think that you start with Gardens of the Moon, though, but I think he wrote them and then went backwards and wrote some that go in between others or like the set before the series. So it's like whether you read them in chronological or publication order. Oh, well, Molly loved the first Johnny Wirtz book, so that's good because I've never heard anybody speak about it. I just saw them in my library and they have really nice covers.
I'm excited for First Law, though. I think it's going to be a lot of fun from what I can tell from people's love of it. It's going to be a good one.
We've been really lucky. Well, we haven't been lucky because we did Game of Thrones, which like we knew that we liked the show anyway, and you'd read them all already. We'll look that all of us like Hob. The only one that, well, you'd already read Farseer, and then Cass was obviously guaranteed, but
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where we go after. I need to look at all of the books in the First Law anyway and work out what kind of schedule we're doing because I don't know how like dense they are or anything.
Wait, there's another one that The Gentleman Bastards, I think I'm thinking of.
Oh, I love that series.
There's only 3
out so far.
Yes. So that I also have those. I really want to.
It's really good. There's a great bromance in it. It's my favorite bromance in all fantasy that I've read.
Romance. I love that.
Yeah.
Come on, Becca. Come on.
There's also the Magician series by Trudy Magician Guild and stuff by Trudy Canavan. I think that's 5 books and a prequel or 4 books and a prequel. Or actually that might have 2 trilogies and a prequel. That would be decent.
I'm intrigued about Abercrombie because I'm just like, I don't know if we're gonna get along. But
Yeah, I am intrigued what you'll think because I feel like it might be a bit too angsty for you. I don't know.
Angsty?
You do, but you don't like try hard angst. I feel, and like how try hard is it going to be?
I don't like dude bro angst.
Mm.
That's where the problem's gonna be.
Yeah, that might be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing it, so we'll see.
Really, just say bye, sweaties.
Yeah. How does she know? Like I have anxiety. I'm constantly sweating.
Okay, so I think that is about us for tonight.
Hmm.
We'll see y'all in September.
For pain.
We're all so excited.
Very late and hot here. Thanks for
All right.
joining us, everyone. Since no one else is
Thank
gonna
you guys. Bye, sweaties. Ooh.
Bye.
Good night.